Seaweeds are plants that live in the seawater. They don't have roots. They can grow very fast in good conditions. Some kinds live 20 years. There are three main types of seaweeds: red, green, and brown. They have special taste and smell. People eat seaweed in different countries. For example, seaweed is common in Japan. Many people in this country eat seaweed. There is famous soup with seaweed called dashi. People in Ireland also eat seaweed with grains for breakfast. Because seaweed grows in salty water, it contains salt, which is very healthy. As too much salt is bad, some cooks use seaweed instead of salt. They are rich in vitamins and minerals. They also contain more iron than meat and more calcium than cheese. In the future, people can replace meat with sea plants because they have more protein and vitamins. The word breakfast is the combination of two English words, break and fast. The word fast here means without food or eating. When you wake up in the morning, you break your fast because you haven't had anything for about 7-10 hours. Doctors say that breakfast helps people to get more energy for the day. If people don't have breakfast, they get tired soon. They can have troubles with concentrating on their work. If you eat in the morning, you may eat less at the other meals during the day. It can even reduce heart problems. Experts agree that a healthy breakfast should contain 4 different types of foods. The first is grains, kinds of bread, rice. The second is protein, that is low in fat, eggs, fish, or some meat. The third is some dairy products, milk. It contains calcium, an element which makes bones stronger. And the last, fruit and vegetables, that are very useful. John Lennon is probably one of the most famous singers and songwriters of all time. He was the co-founder of probably the world's most famous group, the Beatles. He was born on October 9, 1940, in Liverpool, England. He also wrote and performed one of the most popular songs of all time, Imagine. This song was John Lennon's best-selling solo single. The words of the song encourage people to imagine a peaceful world. John Lennon asks listeners to imagine a world without borders or differences in religion and nationality. He also asks the listeners to imagine a world where people don't own things. The song sold more than 1.6 million copies in the UK. It reached number 1 after Lennon was killed in December 1980. Rolling Stone magazine described Imagine as Lennon's greatest musical gift to the world. The same magazine also ranked the song at number 3 in their 500 greatest songs of all time. Paris is the capital city of France. It is sometimes called the City of Light. Firstly, because it was the center of education in the 18th century. Secondly, because Paris was one of the first largest European cities which used gas street lighting. It is also one of the richest cities in Europe. A lot of people visit Paris each year. It has many interesting places to visit. The Louvre is one of the most famous and largest museums in Paris. The museum opened in 1793. It has about 35,000 pieces of art. The museum needs a great number of employees because it is huge and has so many pieces of art. Another popular place in Paris is the Eiffel Tower. The tower has 3 levels. Visitors can climb up the stairs to each level. The first 2 levels have restaurants. The third level is 276 meters above the ground. Visitors can stand anywhere on the third level and get a nice view of Paris below. Alaska and Russia are less than 3 miles apart. In winter, it is possible to walk across the ice from one country to the other. There is a border trade between Alaska natives and Russians who live on the Bering Strait. Native Americans have lived in Alaska for thousands of years. Life in Alaska has always been difficult, but they have adapted to the severe climate. The people's activity here was fishing and hunting seals, whales, and bears. They lived in igloos and used sledges pulled by dogs to travel over the snow-covered land. Nobody could imagine that Alaska would be one of the United States regions rich in gold and oil. Most tourists expect to find the Alaskans living still in igloos and leading an isolated life. To their surprise, most Alaskans drive cars, watch TV, and shop in modern stores. They have restaurants, theaters, museums, and modern healthcare facilities. The real life in Alaska is less exotic than it is described in books and films. An important battle took place in Marathon in Greece more than 2,000 years ago. Greek army won the battle. To announce the victory, a Greek runner was sent to Athens. The man ran for about 40 kilometers at top speed. He delivered the message. Then he fell on the ground and died. In memory of the great runner, a marathon was included in the Olympic Games. People usually start training for a marathon in early spring. They often run and gradually increase the running distance. A few months before the race, a participant runs more than 800 kilometers on average. A British journalist, M. Rota, wanted to write an article about people's feeling during the race. He ran in a marathon, and later he said that running 42 kilometers was not fun. Many people agree that there is no pleasure in running a marathon, but afterwards, it feels great to know that you have done it. Ice cream is an iced dessert generally made from dairy products. Most historians think that this dessert was brought to Europe from China. The earliest references to ice cream in Europe are connected with Nero, a Roman emperor. He ordered ice from the mountains and mixed it with milk and then added fruit to it. In the old days, ice cream was a dish only for the rich. It was eaten on special occasions and was very expensive. With the development of refrigerators, ice cream was made easily and quickly. It became an enjoyed dessert around the world. The most important ingredients in ice cream are milk, sugar, and air. Without air mixed in, ice cream would be as hard as a rock. The quality of an ice cream depends on the amount of air in it. Ice cream contains vitamins, calcium, proteins, and other useful substances for the body. Due to the calcium, ice cream can strengthen bones, normalize blood pressure, and support the immune system. The cold dessert can be a part of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In very cold parts of the world, scientists are studying the ice. This is one way to get information about the past. Sometimes, for example, they find plants and animals frozen in the ice. When plants and animals are frozen, they don't change. They stay the same for thousands of years. Russian scientists have recently found an animal called a mammoth in the ice. There are no mammoths alive today. They lived thousands of years ago. This animal looked like an elephant, with a long nose and long tusks. But it was even larger than an elephant. The scientists kept the mammoth frozen and studied it closely. It still had hair and skin on its body. From these things, scientists could learn a lot about how it lived. The mammoth also still had food in its stomach. This told the scientists a lot about the plants that grew in those days.